Listen, I'm making this video here. If you like what I said, if you don't like what I said, let me know. I stream every day, almost every day at 8 p.m. EST on twitch.tv/FrankSinoPG. Go over there, give me a follow, come up to me next time I'm live, say it to my face instead of a YouTube comment. I'll probably record another one afterwards. Oh! Okay. So let's brainstorm a bit here. I might need your help for this, guys. So please, try to participate. Why would someone pre-order a game? What's the incentive for someone to pre-order a game nowadays? Or what is the potential, even just any incentive for someone to pre-order a game? And I feel like I have one other that I can't think of, but whatever. We'll start talking about it and maybe we'll stumble upon them. Okay, so the first thing, limited stock of copies, that is a non-issue anymore. Anyone that owns a modern day console or a modern day computer where they would be able to do any sort of gaming on it usually has access to a credit card, usually will be able to buy a digital copy of the game. Having a physical copy should, like, you know, I understand some people like to have physical copies, and I totally agree with that. Like, you know, but like the gaming is moving away from that. That's not going to happen in like 10 years. 10 years, we're not going to have physical copies of anything. It's all going to be digitally licensed. It's all going to be data that we download and data that can be revoked as like basically developers or publishers or console holders or like, you know, console rights holders see fit. So with the advancement of storage technology and the advancement of like, you know, graphical fidelity, it requires more space to be taken up. So physical media is going to be an irrelevant form of media. Yeah, they might be able to put stuff on USB flash drives and then have them like USB flash drives with like, you know, massive storage, and then have them being run off a USB 3.0 port or something, or even like some sort of proprietary storage device that you end up slotting in like a cartridge where we could return back to the cartridge age. But at that point, not only are you paying for the software, the game on the software, you're also paying for the physical hardware that you're slotting in, you know, because again, this stuff isn't that dirt cheap yet. So I would say for the most part today, limited stock of copies is an irrelevant issue. You should never ever be worried about not having copies of a game if you really want to play it, because what you should do instead is just if you really want to play the game day one, buy the game digital. That's it. So that completely removes it. And if you're pre-ordering the game digitally, there can only be a couple of other reasons that are valid as to why you would want to pre-order afterwards. So I feel like this one is probably the biggest effector for most people. Pre-order exclusives. Personally, I think pre-order exclusives should not be a thing. I think they are a very, very bad thing to do because it incentivizes people to make purchases that otherwise might not be in their interest. It incentivizes them to make purchases because basically when you pre-order something, you're for the pre-order bonus, you're pre-ordering a picture, like, you know, being able to see a picture, or you're pre-ordering being able to see a video of whatever you're pre-ordering in effect. You know, it's a very, very bad, like, you know, precedent that we've allowed to be set. And I really feel like it was something that was set in stone by physical game stores, because they wanted to incentivize more business preemptively. You know, they wanted to basically make the money earlier on, and then basically the only thing they already have like their budgets paid for when it comes to like you know, payroll and everything like that. Like, you know, they already have that all taken care of for when the launch comes over, or when, like, you know, they actually end up getting the copies and have to order more copies. You know. So I feel like pre-order exclusives, they should not be allowed on any platform. Not at all. If you want the stuff, if you want to give the stuff, include it in the base game. That's it. You're literally locking content away behind an arbitrary time deadline. What if someone doesn't have the money at the time, like, you know, for a decent amount of time leading up to the release of the game? What if like, again, there's like so many excuses I can go down, but I just feel like it's a really, really bad thing. It's a really, really bad precedent that we've allowed to be set. And I feel like we're only going to see it if people decide to, like, strictly go against games with pre-order bonuses. But not a lot of people have that conviction when it comes to entertainment media, because in the end, most people view entertainment media as something that can be consumed and then thrown away. Whether it's a video game that you spend like $10, $50, $60 on, you play for 10 hours and you, like, you know, you get rid of it, or you just put it on your shelf forever, or it's like, you know, a movie that you watch once, you pay for the Blu-ray, you watch it once, and then it goes on your shelf forever because it's part of your collection. Where, like, you know, again, I've fallen victim to this. This is why I don't buy physical media too much anymore. because there's just literally nothing to it. Like, you know, you like, yeah, you get the ability to rewatch that movie or replay that game whenever you want, but for the most part, if you're buying a $60 game, you're not buying it because you're planning to replay it. You know, if you're regularly buying $60 games, you're not buying it because you want to play it regularly. You're buying it because it's new, and you're only going to play what's new for the most part. Again, this is maybe generalizing too much. So again, pre-order exclusives, kill them. They're done. They're irrelevant at this point, and people need to start taking an active interest in making sure that they don't allow that anymore. A lot of people don't really see it as a problem. I think it's one of those like kind of sleeper problems that maybe incentivizes people to pre-order a lot more. Oh, I actually just thought of another thing, which could be related to limited stock of copies. So preloading games. Pre-orders were used as a gauge for a game's success years ago, but that's probably irrelevant nowadays. Well, a game's success should only be metered by sales, but I don't think that you should be representing your interest by spending the dollar preemptively, and then maybe not being entitled to a refund as soon as you get the game and it's not like, you know, 100%. Now we've fortunately gotten a lot better with that, and I think Cyberpunk is going to be like kind of an alarm bell again of that kind of thing where, like, you know, you pre-order it, it sucks, you can get a refund of it however you want. You know, I think that's a pretty good sentiment. But again, just to kind of go ahead and talk about, yeah, so preloading games is like an aspect of it. I don't see this as being worth gambling your money on $60. This shouldn't be a problem, like on $80. This shouldn't be a problem that you have to account for. This should be a problem that developers, publishers, storefronts, whatever have to account for. This is not a you problem. You shouldn't think of it as, I wasn't able to play this game because I didn't pre-order it soon enough, and so I couldn't preload it soon enough. You should be thinking of it as, I'm not able to play this game because these fucking servers, this fucking company that I'm giving like a like multiple days worth of work to, like, you know, multiple days worth of money of work to, they couldn't get their shit together for 24 hours when they knew that this was going to be a huge launch. They knew people were interested in it. Because even when people pre-order, like, you know, and they go to install the game on the first day, sometimes shit fucks up. And it's shitty. It's awful. Whatever money that you get should go into your infrastructure of making sure that people can play your game day one if it's a download thing. So again, this is not an issue that consumers should have to worry about at all. It should be something that purely logistically, them on the other side have to worry about. If it happens once in a while, hey, let's say if it even happens like maybe 2 times a year. That's okay, you know. I think that's an acceptable amount of failure. Like, again, because it happens. It's sometimes, like, you know, whatever. Yeah, it happens. Sometimes hardware fails. Sometimes, like, you know, someone typoed something in a code. Like, again, that's like a really extreme example of negligence, but you know what I mean. Like, in terms of these 3 things that we've talked about, literally none of these are like valid as like a way for like a reason for pre-orders. This one may be a little bit more so than the previous ones. But in terms of today's scape, I don't really think it matters. Playing at launch for peak multiplayer population, again, it's gonna be fine, even a week from now, even a week from launch. Like, your perceivable game experience is not gonna be like that much more like killed, unless the game has problems. And if the game has problems, you probably shouldn't have bought it anyway. That's it. Basically, what I'm saying is, for the most part, pre-ordering, there's no reason to do it. It's literally just like giving your money in hopes that this company will actually pay you out, you know? It's like, do we shit on Kickstarter, people who support Kickstarters, and like end up having the project fail? Like, you know, again, like the idea of paying for something like, you know, 2 years in advance ends up turning out a lot worse. And some people, they feel a lot more like insured, I guess is I guess is the word I can use for it. They feel a lot more insured when they're paying money to a large development studio or a large publishing studio, and they hope that they're going to get a good product in the end. And the thing is, a lot of publishing studios and development studios are aware of this angle, and they exploit it to fuck. They exploit it by, you know, continuing with advertising, like, you know, using the money that they have already as a publisher into putting good advertising, or to paying for slick tech demos, or paying for CG animated trailers to make you feel like you can trust them more, like, when you give them your money, you know? Yeah. Again, I pre-ordered it. Yep. I'm gonna talk about why I did it in the end. Okay. Relax. Stop. So again, like playing at launch for peak multiplayer population, it's a non-issue. Don't, like, if you're worried about multiplayer population dropping off, that's probably not a good game. You probably don't have much faith in the game. So don't buy it. That's it. Most of the time, anyone in the world can wait an extra week to play the game. So for content creation, this becomes like a tricky thing, because this ends up being your job. Like, you know, playing this game could end up being your job. You know, that's how you monetize yourself for the month, for the week, for the year, even sometimes. You know, if you get in on the ground level enough and you end up blowing up off of this game, that could be your entire year's income, based on the launch of that game and based on you playing that game at launch, you know. And with games, like games just in general, there's a huge time incentive to have things out as soon as possible, because when games launch, people are going to be searching it on YouTube, they're going to be doing this, they're going to be doing that, like, you know, again, they're going to be like looking up stuff about the game that's is only going to shoot you up in like whatever algorithm or whatever. So again, this is a reason. In terms of how it applies personally to me, this was like a very low reason on the tier of like why I wanted to pre-order the game. I pre-ordered it like maybe 5 or 10 days ahead of it. I can't remember what it was. I only pre-ordered it like 5 or 10 days ahead. This parallels from content creators to game devs. What, in the way that like on game launch it makes your like yearly income? Well, yeah, pretty much, yeah. I mean, it really depends on how your payment structure works, because as far as I understand, most average game developers, they don't make royalties on their games. Well, I am aware that, like, you know, some developers, like some publishers do have royalty systems based on performance of the game, like they might get a bonus afterwards. But as far as I know, for the most part, developers, unless it's an indie thing, like big time developers, or like big, like, you know, small developer in a large pool of developers doesn't really make more money if the game does successfully. I could be entirely wrong about that, and if that is the case, then again, it's not. I don't feel like that's really a thing that a gamer should have to consider, or a consumer should have to consider. I'm not going to say use the word gamer. I'm going to say consumer, as someone that is buying a product. The inner workings of the company, in terms of who gets compensated, like they should affect your whether you purchase at all. But for pre-order, it doesn't have relevance there, I feel. I hope I made that distinction clear enough, because the inner workings of a company are definitely important for whether you buy a product or not. But if you're going to be pre-ordering it, you've already decided to buy the product. Now it's at that point, it's just deciding whether you should buy the product before actually receiving it or after receiving it, you know? That's what I'm saying. So again, time incentive for content creation. This is a little bit valid, but it's such like an edge case that like most people don't need to be pre-ordering because of it. If pre-orders were to disappear, what it would probably end up doing is it would end up creating a gap between people who got review copies and people who have to buy their copies like, you know, pre-release review copies, versus content creators who have to buy their copies legitimately, or choose to buy their copies legitimately. So if anything, it would create that gap. So what is the solution to this other than pre-ordering? I can't really say for sure. But again, I think that this is such a like minor issue in the total scale of pre-ordering, that if pre-ordering was to disappear and this came as a consequence of it, I don't think it would be too awful. So I'm just editing this video right now, and I realized that there's something I didn't really express here or cover here. And it's the inherent gap that already exists between people who might just already be like smaller content creators who might just already be pre-ordering the game, and larger like game journalists or whatever that are actually hired by a company, or even just larger content creators, more popular content creators who manage to get review copies for games. I like said that pre-ordering might be a way to close this gap. But I really don't think that's probably going to be the best case, because again, that gap is always going to be there no matter what, unless we get rid of the idea of review copies or industry exclusive like demos. I think whatever demo that is given to industry exclusive people should be given to the public, honestly. I know it's a little bit of like, you know, a utopian idea or whatever, but I think in the end that's how we can really try to strive towards a more honest representation as to what a game is going to be, rather than just having these people that they say are qualified to give you the information secondhand, and then they just give you that information secondhand based, like, you know, after they've signed their contracts, and not being able to talk about certain things after they've played a demo that's already been super tailored to be the most optimal experience of the game, you know, not actually telling you what the game experience is entirely going to be, but what a specific section of the game experience is most likely. A specific section of the game experience is going to be. So again, either have public game demos, have everyone be able to play them, and then, you know, you can go to your favorite content creator or game reviewer to see whose opinion you want to, you know, consider, maybe get another perspective on it. But beyond that, no, none of this is like really that great, honestly. Back to the video. Time incentive for bragging rights, literally fucking dumb. Like, who cares? I don't even know why I put this on there, but yeah, it's stupid. And to avoid spoilers, again, if you are surrounding yourself with people who actively want to spoil your game, or if you're on, sorry, I see a fly here. If you're on outlets that will actively spoil games, just stay away from them. I even think up to this day now, hold on, I can't go on Twitter on stream, but I even think up to this day now, I still have Cyberpunk and everything blocked on Twitter. Okay, so actually all my expired words, all my filtered words actually expired. But I did the same thing for Death Stranding, and I thankfully know almost nothing about that game, even to this day, because the hype of it being spoiled is not a thing anymore. Now, someone could easily just spoil it right now in my chat while I'm talking about it, and like I guess I kind of would set myself up for that. It could be that Die Hard Man is actually Die Live Man, and now he is Norman Reedus in the end of the game. And again, even if you have the game spoiled, I'm not gonna say it shouldn't matter, because I'm one of those people that likes to like be absolutely none spoiled. Like I'll even get upset at like seeing, like, even if it's an event that I can already like perceivably transpire happening, like all the set of information, like I can see that a character writes 2 + 2 down on a piece of paper, but when 4 happen, when that character writes down 4, if someone tells me that they wrote down 4 and how they wrote it, that's a spoiler to me, you know, like, and maybe that's a little too like fucking, you're a fucking nerd, stop it, just relax. But that's just the way I am. That's why for the most part, when I watch gameplay trailers for games, the first time I see it, I decide if I'm interested or not, and then I don't see anything until the game comes out. Or until I buy it myself, you know? Then literally just don't talk to your friends. That's it. That's really it. If your friends can't respect you enough to not have a conversation about a piece of media that you care about, and you don't want to have spoiled, then you need to get new friends. That's the beginning and end of it. Now, unfortunately, I have friends that don't know when they're spoiling things for, like, you know, when they're saying stuff that's spoiler up to my standards. That's the only next problem I have in terms of like the social aspect of it. But even then, it's like big whatever in the end. In the end, it's a big whatever. So in the end, I kind of just like don't really feel like in the end it's worth it. Like, legitimately, yes. No, I'm sorry. We need to enable that. If your friends are being pieces of shit and they're spoiling media for you that you otherwise might enjoy, fuck them. Sorry, you told me that Cyberpunk character 5's eyebrow got burned off 10 minutes into this cutscene. I'm gonna need you to unfollow me. We can have it be a clean split, but if after 10 days I see you're still following me, I'm sorry. There's gonna be a cancellation coming. I'm gonna come for your job. I'm gonna come for your place of education. I'm gonna come for your parents. I'm gonna come for your dog. Like, I don't know, like I kind of just speak generally, and I don't have like hard information or hard data as to how pre-ordering a game can help the outcome of a game. But I think we should be more trying to, even if that is the case, even if pre-ordering does end up making a game better because it gives them the money that they need more earlier on to fund the development, I don't think games should work like that. I don't think the media industry should work like that. Movies can, sorry, like, yeah, like books can be pre-ordered, right? But I don't know, I would still argue for the same stuff. I think in that regard, there still is the physical aspect of it. If you're buying like a physical copy of a book, you want to make sure you end up reserving your slot for a physical copy of the book. That's what I would say is when I would say pre-ordering is like a little bit more valid. That's why I did pre-ordering for console games in the past, because I didn't know if there was going to be stock for them. It was before digital marketplaces like started becoming more and more common, like Xbox 360 or whatever. Actually, I can tell you one thing where me not pre-ordering a game ended up affecting me, like, I guess in some way. It was with Gears of War 3. I wanted the huge edition of the game, the edition of the game that came with the Marcus Venus statue, and I wasn't able to find it anywhere in Toronto. I literally went to like multiple different shops. I was calling around multiple different game stores, and ended up like having to go to a game store that was way out of my way just to find the copy of the game that I wanted, or the version of the game that I wanted. So again, like, that's a minor inconvenience. I ended up finding it, but then again, it could have been possible that I wouldn't have been able to get the edition of the game that I wanted. In the end, I could have just gotten the regular game, so it's such an inconsequential thing. If anyone, like, you know, if you can find a problem with what I've said so far, like how it's not applied and that isn't like true to reality or whatever, I want you guys to tell me, because then how do I have any idea of like whether I should change my thoughts or not based on new information that I get, you know? And again, I guess like a lot of this was like I didn't get to talk about my pre-ordering of Cyberpunk yet, so I guess I'll do that now. So the main reason as to why I wanted to pre-order Cyberpunk is because we were basically gonna be able to split it. That's the biggest factor. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have touched the game, and I probably wouldn't have ever ended up touching the game. But in the end, I paid $25 for it. If I'm spending $25 and it ends up not being 100% great, I'm not gonna lie, that's not like because we split it up. Yeah, because me, Seb, and Jewel split it up. Like, because if a $25 purchase isn't that great, yeah, I'm gonna be upset. But you know what? In the end, I still got like what I think 40 hours of gameplay. I think I can be happy with that. That wasn't all great gameplay. It wasn't like perfect or excellent in any way, but it was still gameplay that I enjoyed for the most part. So I can't really say I can complain about it. Legitimately, like we all shared the sentiment at that time of CD Projekt Red. I don't think they've had too bad of launches. I'm not. This is our general thing. I don't know this for sure, but as far as I understand from what Seven Jules said, I'm not even trying to saying this to qualify it and throw them under the bus, but like this is what as far as what I understand to be the reality of it as well. CD Projekt Red, they don't really have super horrible game launches. For the most part, their games function on launch, and they're actually really good at launch. Yeah, CDPR fans down bad for real. They've delayed the game like by a great amount of time. It implies that they want to really get it right if they're going to release it. They want to make sure it's going to function. They don't want it to be a bad launch. They want it to be something good that people are going to enjoy and remember. That pretext, I'm not going to listen to that anymore. I'm going to wait till if I can wait, I'm going to wait till the game comes out. Wait even a week afterwards and see what's happening about it, you know? As while I like I didn't see like I didn't see like Cyberpunk spoilers on my feed. I still heard things about how the game is running in general. And yeah, if I had gone based off if I was gonna base my purchase off of what I just saw on Twitter, I wouldn't have done it. So now this kind of this is kind of like a sobering moment for me to like apply those further checks to myself, you know? Like, I'm not going to pre-order a game because of what I think it's going to be. I'm going to buy a game because of what it is. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, just be a little, again, I just, in the end, the reason why I'm talking about all this is because I just urge people to be a little more responsible with however they purchase things in general. That's pretty much it.